SpaceX is expanding massively in Florida. Are they performing a miracle? Will we see Starship at the Cape earlier than expected? SpaceX publishes the entire Flight 11 plan with a few surprises. Are we still on track for a launch in mid-October? In Seattle, engineers are working on a rocket engine so far only SpaceX has managed to construct and use. What's so special about it? And has Dreamchaser just been cancelled? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It. Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Before we jump into Flight 11, Starship operations at the Cape may be closer than we initially thought. Let's take a brief look at what's happened so far. What's the story of the mysterious 39A Starship pad? Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center is a place of history and the future. While Saturn V brought us to the moon from this very pad, SpaceX is now launching the only reusable rocket in the world from here, and Starship, the largest rocket ever built, is supposed to be next. This is only the beginning. After a long process of getting the approved documents for Starship operations at Cape Canaveral, the first orbital launch integration tower segment for a Starship tower in Florida was spotted in February 2022. The following month, a flyover from Fariel on X gave us the first indication that this was a reality and not just another place for SpaceX to store equipment. Not only did this flyover confirm that tower segment construction had been underway, but it gave us the first idea of where this tower would sit at LC-39A. One entire month later, with no signs of progress, SpaceX posted on X that Axiom 1 had gone vertical on the pad. Axiom 1? Isn't this about Starship? That's correct. In one of the two images posted by SpaceX, however, we could see that groundwork was underway. Groundwork is essential to ensure that something is structurally stable. And that something was Starship infrastructure. Harry Stranger made two posts on X just 1 month apart showing high-resolution satellite imagery of the launch site. The first post showed us the launch site. To the right side of the image, we can see 7 total foundations. 1 for a tower and 6 others for 6 orbital launch mount legs. The stool-like construction of Pad 1 at Starbase has the same footprint. In the second post made by Harry, we could see all 6 of the OLM legs staged just above the foundations. To summarize, over the course of a few months, all 6 legs were installed on their corresponding foundations, all the tower segments were stacked, the chopstick pieces arrived, were constructed, and were later installed on the tower. This construction effort lasted until January 2023. However, things started to take a turn. Work had come to a pause. That's why I said Mystery Pad 39A at the beginning of this video. What was going on? Why did they stop working? Was 39A cancelled? 15 months later, in March of 2024, work resumed, although in the wrong direction. Crews were dismantling all 6 of the OLM legs. In a flyover 2 months later from NASAspaceflight.com, it was apparent that SpaceX was now moving massive amounts of dirt around where the OLM legs had previously been situated. For the next 6 months, it was seemingly quiet again. That was until the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration released Hurricane Milton imagery. Getting information about the work at Pad 39A is significantly more difficult than at Starbase. NASA doesn't just let people walk past pads and factories. Conveniently for Starship fans, this imagery contained Hangar M, where the first OLM was constructed at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. It's located right next to the Kennedy Space Center. And to make matters better, people had seemingly spotted plating that looked identical to the new and improved orbital launch mount's water-cooled plate. SpaceX was onto something. Again, several months later, Harry Stranger once again posted high-resolution satellite imagery from Airbus showing that excavation of a flame trench was underway. Harry Stranger, by the way, has a Patreon website. If you want to help him finance these satellite images, go to Patreon and look for Space from Space. Now, where have I seen this before? That's right, Starbase. In a new version of Starship pads, SpaceX is switching to a full-fledged flame trench and a new OLM design. Through testing at Starbase, they found that Pad 1 with its milk stool launch mount might have been a better water tower than a rocket pad. With the Cape following this new pad design, they would need flame bucket halves, a new OLM, and a gantry at the pad. Check! After several months of work on the trench, we've arrived in the present. On the 27th of last month, both of the bucket halves were rolled to the pad and lifted into the flame trench. This is a major step in the process and could indicate that SpaceX is moving to prepare the pad for preliminary testing. To recap, the Cape Canaveral team completely redesigned the pad within 2 years. Talk about a good team. Note that this was a fundamental rundown of everything that took place. The real construction effort was much more in-depth and time-consuming. Today, the Starship Pad 39A is almost on par with Starbase. Roughly 2 to 3 months separate both pads in the construction timeline. In theory, this means that if SpaceX is ready to launch a Starship from Pad 2 at Starbase, they should be ready at Pad 39A shortly after. Cape Canaveral is close behind Starbase at this point. The coming year promises to be exciting, not just at Starbase. This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Let's talk about protecting yourself and your loved ones. So, what's the threat? We all are spending endless hours online. I certainly am no exception here. And we all are vulnerable to digital threats. It's not just about you, but kids, your wife, your parents. Fortunately, I have found an ideal solution. Today's sponsor, Surfshark, offers a truly turnkey VPN solution for all. It's like installing a personal security guard at your digital home's door, keeping out those who don't belong there. The Surfshark One cybersecurity package includes a built-in antivirus to protect you from dangers like data worms and Trojan horses. Surfshark's got your back and it is easy to use. It handles everything for you, including proxy emails, instant alerts, and a fresh start if your data was compromised. It not only protects you at home or on the go, but also covers your entire family on as many devices as you like. Are you ready for a new standard for your family's security? Go to surfshark.com/Felix or use code Felix at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Surfshark, your data, your rules. Hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value and become a wise supporter for extra content. Up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, helicopter and ground photos, and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. Thank you very much. Also, check out raptor-roost.com for launch viewing tickets. Flight 11 is around the corner and there is simply no better spot to watch from. Now on to Starbase. SpaceX is once again trying to confuse us. On the 20th of last month, all attention was pointed at an open Star Factory door. Could it be Booster 18's forward section? Maybe a ship test tank section? Nope and nope. It was a hot staging wing. Later in the day, it was rolled into Mega Bay 1, where it was lifted that night and installed onto Booster 15. That's the booster to fly again on Flight 11. A bit early for that though, right? That's correct. Here comes the twist. Just 5 days later, SpaceX rolled a transport stand into the bay. 1 day after that, Booster 15 was rolled out, but not to the launch site. It was rolled to the rocket garden. But what about it? Why would they do that? We suspect that it was rolled to the rocket garden because all the final pre-flight checkouts are complete and it is no longer needed inside the bay. Yes! SpaceX uses the rocket garden for 2 things: storing end-of-life hardware and parking hardware that's needed later. But after Booster 15 was moved to the rocket garden, another transport stand was moved to the bay. Was this Booster 12? Yup, Booster 12 was placed atop this transport stand and was also moved to the rocket garden. The reason behind this is a little less well known. SpaceX may be just storing it here while they wait for a better spot to display it. Booster 12 definitely falls into the end-of-life category. There might be one more stop left for it though. A giant ornament. It is worth noting that Booster 12 had engines installed. It's unknown whether most of these engines are flight-proven or not. It would definitely look good. If you want SpaceX to display Booster 12 at Starbase, write it in the comments. SpaceX does watch why, and they might see the support. The only booster, if you can call it that, remaining in Mega Bay 1 now is Booster 18's liquid oxygen tank. Don't be disappointed though. While the only part of the version 3 booster for Flight 12 currently in Mega Bay 1 is the liquid oxygen tank, all other components are being developed simultaneously. Now for the most important info you need to plan your hobby activity for the next few weeks, we have an official date for Flight 11. And more than that. On the 29th, SpaceX posted on X stating that Flight 11 is targeted to launch as early as Monday, October 13th. Wait, what? Wasn't the local notice to mariners targeting a launch on the 6th? Correct. On the 26th, 3 days before SpaceX posted, this local notice to mariners was updated to support an October 13th launch date. So that checks out. In SpaceX's post, they also released the plans for Flight 11. What do these reveal? In the first paragraph, it states that a launch window opens at 6:15 p.m. local time. Cool for the US. Not so cool for Europe. I feel you. I still vividly remember watching Starship launches at like 3 a.m. Get your coffee ready and tell your boss that you'll be late for work if you don't want to miss the last version 2 launch and maybe the last launch for this year from Starbase. 3 sections down, SpaceX confirms that it's Booster 15 flying by saying it previously flew on Flight 8, and that 24 of the 33 flown engines will refly on this mission. That means that only 9 of the engines were replaced with different ones. That's what I call progress. Even though we're not yet talking Raptor 3, SpaceX is already heavily reusing engines. It also states that Booster 15 will not return to the launch site and will land offshore while testing another unique landing approach. It's what I already predicted. It makes no sense to catch a version 2 booster anymore. They have 3 catches demonstrated, and version 3 will bring massive changes with it. This is continued into Section 5. Super Heavy will ignite 13 engines at the start of the landing burn and then transition to a new configuration with 5 engines running for the divert phase. 5? Why that? Unfortunately, there are 45 possible combinations for the other 2 engines to be ignited with the Center 3. All we know with this is that it is testing a combination for the new generation of boosters. After a successful landing burn, Booster 15 will shut down the 2 additional engines and hover with 3 engines before meeting its final demise in the Gulf. The primary goal of the booster is to measure the real-world vehicle dynamics as engines shut down during the transition between different flight phases. Then we'll see the virtual tower landing above the ocean and splash and boom. As for Ship 38, it will deploy 8 Starlink simulators at the same suborbital trajectory as on Flight 10. Before deployment, SpaceX will relight a single sea-level Raptor engine just as it did on Flight 10. Now that we have an official date, your next question is likely if the pad is ready. Good news here as well, pretty much. With Ship 38's static fire out of the way, the pad underwent all the necessary demodifications to support a booster again. So should we expect a launch on the 13th? I think so. Everything appears to be tracking well towards this Monday afternoon launch date. Get your popcorn ready, wait for a stream announcement, set your reminder, and fuel the hype train. We're leaving the station once again. I sure can't wait to watch it with you. Now let's venture to my second favorite launch provider and look at some massively beautiful progress. Are you stoked yet? Seattle-based Stoke Space is getting ready to join SpaceX in a very exclusive club. So incredibly exclusive, SpaceX is literally alone in it and has been for almost 6 years. To enter this club, you need to build an exclusive treehouse and master an advanced propulsion technology called the full-flow staged combustion engine. Only 4 development programs worldwide have ever successfully brought such an engine onto a test stand, easy peasy. In the 1960s, it was Russian manufacturer Energomash, followed by Aerojet Rocketdyne in the mid-2000s. In February 2019, they were joined by SpaceX when it test-fired the first Raptor engine. Stoke joined the other 3 in June 2024. So far, only SpaceX has a flight-proven full-flow staged combustion engine. In fact, we're about to see the company's 3rd iteration of its iconic Raptor engine. Stoke Space's Zenith engine showed promising results in its latest test campaign, and the company is confident it will be prepared to power the first stage of the Nova rocket by early 2026. Their full-flow staged combustion engine utilizes liquid methane and oxygen propellants similar to SpaceX's Raptor and is likewise optimized for rapid reusability. Nova will be powered by 7 Zenith engines, each with 100,000 pounds of thrust. For its new rocket, Stoke Space has chosen a phased approach, beginning with expandable flights in early 2026 from Cape Canaveral's Space Launch Complex 14, followed by a transition to full reusability. And this approach is very similar to SpaceX with the Falcon 9 rocket. Once fully developed, the company expects to bring down the launcher's turnaround time to just 24 hours. And that's where it parts ways with Falcon 9. A 24-hour turnaround is an incredibly ambitious goal. It won't be long before a day without a rocket launch in Florida feels very strange. So many very promising spaceflight startups are becoming operational in the next couple of years. From an advanced propulsion system, we move on to an observatory that has no propulsion system at all. However, it really needs a big push. NASA has awarded Arizona-based startup Catalyst Space Technologies a $30 million contract to perform the first ever commercial robotic orbital boost of a US government science satellite. The mission aims to save the Neil Gehrels Swift Observatory from orbital decay and extend its valuable scientific mission. Launched in 2004, the Swift Observatory has been studying gamma-ray bursts for over 2 decades. Now, more than 20 years later, its orbit has decayed to the point that scientists estimate a 90% chance of re-entry and destruction by 2026. That's not very long into the future. So, why do objects in orbit experience such a decay? Our planet's atmosphere doesn't cut off abruptly. Above it, you can still find sparse molecules floating around. These matter particles are enough to slow down satellites over time. And did you know that this process has intensified in recent years? Thanks to increased solar activity, the atmosphere is expanding. Some satellites have an onboard propulsion system to raise their orbit on demand. Unfortunately, Swift is not one of them. Until now, NASA could only stand by and watch its $500 million observatory getting awfully close to burning up in the atmosphere. This is now going to change. NASA has contracted Catalyst for a historic rescue mission. The company will deploy a modified version of its Link spacecraft in spring 2026 to rendezvous with Swift and boost it to a higher altitude. The technological challenges are significant, especially since this satellite lacks docking hardware. Servicing it was simply never part of the original plans. To overcome this, Catalyst engineers designed a robotic system to grip onto small metal flanges originally used to secure the observatory during ground transport. Like tiny edges. Swift has been in operation for over 20 years, detecting sudden high-energy events and altering other telescopes for follow-up observations. Its discoveries have advanced understanding of exploding stars, black holes, and other extreme cosmic phenomena. It's one of those high-return missions. You really don't want to waste it. By extending Swift's mission through this innovative commercial partnership, NASA demonstrates how public-private collaboration can preserve valuable scientific assets while advancing orbital servicing capabilities. While Swift is getting a fighting chance to stay in orbit, another one of my favorite crafts has a hard time getting there. Sierra Space's Dreamchaser spaceplane project has undergone a dramatic downgrade from an operational ISS cargo program to a single demonstration flight. While it hasn't been explicitly cancelled, the recent contract revision effectively eliminates NASA's commitment to Dreamchaser. So, is it abandoned? The original contract guaranteed Sierra Space 7 resupply missions to the ISS. And all that is left for Dreamchaser at this point is a technology demonstration mission now scheduled for late 2026. Originally, it was slated to launch in 24 and then in 25. Constant delays became a hallmark of the Dreamchaser project. Starting in 2019, predicted launch dates kept being pushed forward, justifying NASA's pragmatic decision. The new arrangement eliminates NASA's obligation to purchase the originally planned 7 ISS cargo missions. The agency instead committed only to a free-flight demonstration mission that will not dock with the International Space Station. This is particularly bad news for Sierra. Without a docking demonstration on this flight, the company's chances to see Dreamchaser become a qualified supply vehicle for the ISS are dwindling. NASA's official statement revealed the agency's underlying concern about the project's viability. Dana Weigel, NASA ISS program manager, acknowledged that development of new space transportation systems is difficult and can take longer than what's originally planned. There we have it again. Space is hard. Weigel also pointed out the quickly approaching 2030 ISS deorbit timeline. Time is running out for Dreamchaser. NASA's reluctance stems from safety concerns about allowing an unproven vehicle near the crewed International Space Station. But then, why did they let Starliner approach it? With SpaceX's Dragon and Northrop Grumman's Cygnus, 2 US-based transport options are available to ensure the ISS is constantly resupplied to remain operational. So, is this it? Will we never see a spaceplane fly again? While Dreamchaser is now likely never going to dock with the ISS, at least not for regular cargo missions, there is a glimmer of hope. The program's technical achievements position the company for future opportunities. With the era of commercial space stations just a few years away, new opportunities for space transport systems emerge, and Sierra Space is developing its own space station hardware. Dreamchaser is also a good candidate for defense applications or specialized missions requiring runway landing capabilities. However, the Space Force's X-37B already exists and is performing well, and Dreamchaser will have to prove that flying a plane to space can be more efficient than using a capsule. Over in Europe, ESA has made an important selection. One of ESA's most prestigious programs, Future EO, will be extended with an 11th mission. Future EO, formerly known as the Earth Observation Envelope Program, develops pioneering Earth observation systems that address major science, societal, and environmental challenges related to Earth and its climate. After a 4-year selection process starting with 15 proposals, 2 finalists were chosen: Wyvern and Caird. Ultimately, Wyvern was selected to become the 11th Earth Explorer mission. The Wind Velocity Radar Nephoscope will provide the first ever measurements of wind within clouds, alongside detailed information about the cloud's internal structure. It is designed to address a critical gap in global satellite observation systems that has long hindered the accuracy of weather predictions. Wyvern's capability centers on a dual polarization conically scanning 94 GHz Doppler radar with an 800 km swath. That's a mouthful. Its exceptional scanning width enables near-daily coverage of vast areas of the Earth's surface. The mission promises to improve forecasts of hazardous weather and provide new insights into severe storms. Very much appreciated here in Florida. It will also contribute to the climate record of cloud and precipitation profiling. ESA's Director of Earth Observation Programs, Simonetta Celli, emphasized that Earth Explorer missions have consistently surpassed expectations, running breakthrough technology to deliver vital insights into our planet. You have to be patient though. A launch is expected to take place no earlier than 2032 or 2033. That's it for today. Smash that like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. The Raptor shirt and all sorts of other designs are there. Link is in the description and in the card you should see now. And if you want to learn more about how SpaceX's Raptor 3 engine works, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. A new OLM, yeah. Currently in Megaway, were we? 15, flying. Radar rep, roof,